Shadow was born in a wild hunt stable. A stallion from the Unseelie stable got lucky with a mare kelpie one spring. Nobody from the Unseelie or Wild Hunt knew until they found out that the mare was in foal. The day Shadow was born, all the Unseelie and Wild Hunt was shocked and not happy with the way Shadow looked. The Unseelie and Wild Hunt pride themselves on being the best in all the realm and being superior to us humans. They demand only the finest of the horses and kelpies. Bad conformation is a big no-no. And before you ask, conformation is when something is wrong with the horse at birth. For example, it could have a longer back than the parents, or a color that it should not be, or just look weird. These are just three of the many examples of bad conformation. In the Sealy stables, the Sealy pride on all horses, kelpies, unicorns, pegasi, alicorn, and any equestrian. They don't care if it has bad conformation on. It is given equal love and care, unlike the Unseelie and Wild Hunt stables. The moment Shadow was born, his eyes were not blood red and looked less mad and crazy. That for them was bad confirmation right there. This foal will be of no use to them. So they waited till Shadow was 3 years old. Then the rulers and leaders decided maybe Shadow was good enough as bait for traps to lure humans either to their death or to become prisoners. So the leader of the Wild Hunt ordered Shadow be used with the hunters that are in training. Of course, when the training hunters let Shadow off the lead to find a human, Shadow was more interested in making friends with the human. Back before Genevieve and Shadow met, before Shadow even came to the Sealy Court, when he was still in the Wild Hunt stable, before all his bad luck happened, he was a kind, caring, sweet kelpie, one that no kelpie should be if they belong to the Ancilia Wild Hunt. Well, when he met the human, instead of drowning him or taking him into the others, he let the human ride him like a normal horse. The Unhaley were not happy about this at all, and Shadow got the flogging of a lifetime. It was the first of many of these whippings, which made him wild, mad, angry, and scared until he met Genevieve. He was utterly not useful any which way for the Unseelie and Wild Hunt, and they decided that Shadow was taking up room in the stable. It was the moon before the beloved Queen Titania found out she was expecting Prince Willow and Princess Aurora. She and King Oberon and all the rest of her court were scattered among the realm, decided to go for a revel, which is a ride into our world, the human world. Kendra, Hannah, plus Puck and a couple of episodes, not only of King Oberon and Queen Titania's bit of the kingdom, but others as well were in the revel. Everything went well before they saw the hunters that are in training and are about to graduate that will shadow out 3 moon and suns. 3 moon and suns means years in Fairyland. By the time 3 years had passed, Shadow went from being full and healthy to skinny and underweight and mad and scared and crazy as anything. They wanted to use him as target practice to put it lightly do away with him. It wasn't the young hunters that were about to graduate, but so were the Unseelie princesses and princes. They were taking delight in the abuse poor Shadow was given. The moment Queen Titania saw this, she rode right up to them, Candace started going off her head, calling her to come back, and so did King Oberon. But she didn't stop, and her personal guards had to follow her. King Oberon and his own personal guards, and Kendra rode after her, as well as Hannah. The worst of the court stayed put, waiting. When Queen Titania rode up to the princes and princesses, she dismounted and started to ask why they were hurting the poor Kelpie. King Oberon, Kendra, Hannah, and the girls stood beside her. Still, Kendra's horse was rounding up the horses to get them ready to either gallop to their mounts or to gallop away. The unseelie royals were not happy when they were interrupted by the seelie and demanded that they were trespassing. King Oberon told them wisely that they were in the human world and not of the other world, and that there was no trespassing. After hearing this, they decided to tell him what was going on with Shadow. They told him that the Kelpie was not of any use to them, and that they were getting rid of him. The king and queen were beyond mad at this, and were seeing the abuse that Shadow was being given. They were extra angry at the princes and princesses. Queen Titania demanded that they hand Shadow over to the Silly Court. The unseelie royals asked what they would do have use for an ugly half-kelpie like Shadow. Queen Titania said he'd be loved and cared and used for riding and pulling the royal carriage. The unseelie royals laughed and said, "You can have the useless kelpie if you want. He's more horse than kelpie like the stallion Betty Shire." King Oberon asked, "Is this why you're getting rid of him and want to hurt him? Because he's only half a pure kelpie?" He said, "Yes, that, and he's not very useful at all to us." They then mounted their own horses and left with the trainee hunters as well, only leaving poor Shadow with his wings caught in a bramble bush. Hannah was told to fetch the kelpie at once, and he did, but the moment he freed him from the bush, Shadow went crazy. Of course, that was normal. Shadow thought he was about to get another hit, or whipping again, or something else. King Oberon, seeing the way he was acting, sighed sadly and told his queen, Titania, that he was too wild and poorly, and it was better to put a spell of a quick, painless death on him. Queen Titania said no, and to give him a chance. Of course, by then the rest of the court had ridden up to see what was going on. When they saw Shadow, they stayed back in fear for his wildness. All except for King Lindor, who rode up and said he had a feeling that there is hope for the poor thing, and that he would be one of the most important things to help end the unseelie court and the wild hunt for once and all. You see, King Lindor dwindled to the others, but Shadow will be needed, and they agreed to let Shadow stay. Shadow been scared, angry, and crazy for the years of the abuse, and that there was still hope in him. He also told them of the prophecy that he dreamt of. King Lindor, the prophecy that is of Merlin and his great-granddaughter Genevieve, that he will have a successor who will carry on his power and legacy. When Genevieve met Shadow, she could instantly feel the pang and hurt he experienced from the wild hunt, connect with him with the pang and hurt she was with her family. Shadow, knowing that she had the same pang as him, became very close instantly, and only she and him could be able to ride together. After Genevieve's training, Shadow and her, Genevieve, rode to the fairy beach to see the merfolk fair. It was there, on the beach, as Shadow waited for Genevieve to come back from the Mer Kingdom, that he met his mare of his dreams, Lotus, a water horse, with lotuses all over her. He immediately falls in love with her and she returns his love. She was in the battle, freeing the prison merfolk there. After the battle, Shadow was reunited with Lotus and they marry. It takes months for the realm to be restored to its former glory. At the end of these months, the Shadow became a father as Lotus had a fall. They named her Hope for the hope of a better life Shadow always wanted back in the past. He misses Genevieve when she left the realm. He's not seeing her and misses her with a deep sadness. He is friends with Steel, Kendra's horse, and the two are always playing together and mock fighting. Shadow is the kindest half Kelpie ever. So if you meet him while you're out in the woods, don't be afraid. He will never hurt you.